I am hitting you with some words right now. I am. I'm just a poet trying to make some noise, wearing my cool blue corduroys. I'm kicking my feet. Is that you? Is that you, Stanley, darling? Darling, I'm shutting the door so that the neighbors don't hear me. That's why I'm in the bathroom with the shower on. You need to give me some time. You just want to be a part of the music. I get it. You want to come in here? It might not be your cup of tea. All right, here we go. This is...
Sorry to interrupt that right now. This is Slapstick Machete. We're going the motherfucking distance. So, before I get back into that artifact that is fucking bonkers beyond the most bonkers shit you've seen so far added up. More than that, you know? Oh! So I'm going to play, just to warm us up since we're halfway through, we might need a boost of energy. If you need to stand up and stretch, if you need to wiggle, 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 now's the time. This is the Panthera session tape. It's called Panthera, which is such a dumb fucking name. I'm going to actually play it from wherever it's currently left off, you know?
The other partner, of course, was deeply hurt by this, and...
So that's not what I expected. I'm going to pause this for a moment and rewind and find the actual music on the fucking tape. Well, actually, it seems that that tape is a doozy, and so all I got right now is a couple blank tapes. This one I haven't written anything on is an old Audio's Digest, so let's just try that fucking out, since nothing is working. As you can see, that one is fucked up to the core. So I recorded over this 1985 tape. Now I'm gonna just put it in and see if there's anything there. Well, that's some fucking dope shit. That's some original Bystander shit right there. That's something that archaeologists of the future are going to study they're a part of the organization of Francis J. Harding's Museum of Time and Space, which hasn't started yet. In fact, in the 24th century, Francis J. Harding, in a time when people don't care about physical artifacts anymore, where Mother Earth is just a giant rock and irrigation system for us, providing us as water with all our technology and shit. And so Francis J. Harding's kind of a weirdo of the time, but an academic weirdo, so he has some regard in circles of academia for his study of anthropology in the past. He's probably the #1 academic voice in the field of the past. And so as the museums start to go out of business, he begins to acquire all of these physical artifacts of all the great museums around the world and other artifacts and treasures that he finds, you know? And no one really knows he's gathered all this stuff. He has this giant warehouse beneath, it's actually in the 23rd layer of Earth, so like of a time far gone, and he's kind of traveling through these layers of time in order to uncover mysteries, so to say, but he might just be escaping from a tragedy that happened in his life with his mother. His mother passed away, and this was in a time of Cyrenetics. Cyrenetics is the name of this little science firm that stumbled upon a new type of biological engineering, created this new flesh. I talked about it earlier in the tape, and so you could manifest in a surrogate, and that provides a longevity of life because now you have every nutrient, bit of exercise, and everything you need by just kind of plugging into this machine. I mean, I know this is not an original idea, but this is just the truth in the 24th century. Like, technology does progress, and things we often imagine in the past become real and beyond real, beyond anything we could have ever imagined. So in this time, Francis J. Harding starts gathering these artifacts, and eventually it's called by predecessors the Museum of Time and Space, Francis J. Harding's Museum of Time and Space, which then becomes one of the last human organizations after everything collapses in like the 25th century, from Francis J. Harding coming back from Kepler 452b, and the events that occurred there, that Francis J. Harding's grandson, who's actually Francis Harding III, drafts in a trilogy called the Stranger's Trilogy, which is the first full and honest account of what happened on Kepler 452b in the 24th century. So you might be asking, what is this Kepler 452b? I just rambled 100 miles an hour, but I'm going to pause right now. We're going to get back to, I really want to play some Panthera 95 for at least like a few seconds, so let me find that. Honestly, that's all you can handle for now, because Panthera 95 is a band from the future, one of the first bands to be traveling through time, trying to like spread the imagination and save the universe in this 1,000-year fictional universe I've created that I'm calling fiction and fantasy for now, because that's the only way you might continue listening. So Panthera 95, they got some weird theories about fucking music and how to express it, and it's a part of the origin story of this, because Bystander, who's trapped in the 11th floor ward, ends up accidentally creating a time machine, which isn't as accidental. He was experimenting and inventing and theorizing and going very far into the objects within arm's reach, really propelling the depths of the imagination to where he broke the vault of heaven. And this connected him with other people in other times that were also reaching out. Of these people was this trio of bandits in the 24th century, causing a ruckus, called Panthera 95, and they make some pretty gnarly music. I'll play only a few more minutes of it because they are not accessible music for 21st century weekend Western ears. They believe that Panthera 95 is comprised of three people. Whether these people are real or legends is another time, is another thing we can go over in a future tape. It's too much to begin this late in the tape. So it's comprised of Wes S. Abels of Public Spreads the News of Illuminated Paths, a cassette label that came into being in the early 2010s in association with the genre Vaporwave, releasing endless tapes. By the end of its run, about over 1,000 releases, and many of those artifacts spread into the world of very bizarre music. Many of these tapes were Public Spreads the News, and all of these like friends and the community that was being built then, which then progresses later in future generations and centuries on Earth, that can be attributed to possibly giving us the opportunity to preserve the cosmos. That's Wes S. Abels, also known as the Big Panther, for he is the heartbeat of Panthera 95. The other person we believe to be in Panthera 95, but people say we're lying, it sounds too far off, is Travis Trevison of Tape Deck Mountain. I know! That's like saying Tom York of Radiohead is in Panthera 95. But I get it. It sounds absurd, but evidence points to that association through things like seminary. There's the relationship between Lessons in Mortality and Josiah Rose in the early 2020, January. Actually, that was 2019 before that. But little's known about that because the time machine as it is now really can only progress through the 20s. Whether that's intentional, unintentional, it has its limits, as all things do. So let's just finish it off with a little bit more Panthera 95. Then I'm going to get into some weirder shit that really brings this home, baby. Oh, and I forgot to mention that Josiah Rose, they say, is the third member because of the use of cassette tapes. Now you may say, who the hell is Josiah Rose? I thought I was listening to Slapstick Machete, but there is things that are too absurd to explain right now. Maybe I'll try. Okay, here we go. So, it could all be facets of one madman going crazy, an artist off his rocker, or Bystander, who was trapped in the 11th floor ward and invented some sort of machine or device or technology that could interact and communicate with other dimensions and other times and other places. This developed a strange and absurd language that was then that language became a participation, so there was a gift and a response to that gift, and some people in their present times, specifically in the 20s, were also reaching out in their imagination, and somehow their fingers brushed, like in the painting of God reaching out to man, and they were felt, and they met a stranger that some call Bystander, and in other times and places that name may be very different, that this connection into the cosmos beyond, which it then was commonly known as, this touched many different creatures of the cosmos and the cosmos beyond, as if they were becoming rooted in the same well of the imagination that they could swim to and fro between. That's how Salmon Chicken was able to make it to the Villager in early January. They are a band from the future that improvises as many of the late rock and roll bands, last rock and roll bands, do. They're actually buddies with Panthera 95. But Josiah Rose, who is in Panthera 95, they say is also in Salmon Chicken, and also in Orator, so it's hard to really believe any of this, because now we're just like kind of making this all up and saying that one dude named Josiah Rose imagined and invented all this shit, when that, quite frankly, isn't possible. Just like music like this is something far beyond anything you could have ever imagined. That's all for now. Honestly, they get a shit ton of music online. They released 3 EPs last year. Because I am able to see a large span of time, I know that they're going to have a couple more EPs coming out this year. They have a feature length coming out, a maxi single, I think a second album that we played snippets of in previous episodes, actually in some of this episode. So now I'm going to get into the real inner depths and a moment captured on an old Disney Jungle Book tape with masking tape on the edges as to be recorded over. It's not very long, but it contains a very raw depiction of Bystander lost in their imagination, losing their shit. They're, at least in the story, locked in the bathroom with their cat, with the shower on, like taking a shower and just yelling out words. Now, whether that's real or not, or just sounds that were comprised in the tapestry of this tape, it's hard to tell. The line between fantasy and reality is definitely blurred. There's very little we know of the reality of this. Archaeologists in the future are studying this tape and piecing together the actual atoms that surrounded that space, because cassette tapes capture a lot more than just sound. So I'm going to play some of that. We actually played a few minutes of it before I got distracted with Panthera 95. Alright, here we go, baby.
Sunday morning, carnival horses flying by, flying by. Sunday morning, carnival horses flying by, flying by. Sunday morning, carnival horses flying by, flying by. I'm gonna open the door. I'm gonna let in some fresh air. I'm gonna sing even though I think I'm a really bad singer. I'm not just saying that for your sympathy. I'm not just saying that so that you'll cast a little less judgment. I'm saying that because it's true. Because all my time I've lived, everyone has told me to the face with their very own words. They've taken me aside, or they've ridiculed me publicly, and they tell me every time, Josiah, you can't sing. You're a bad singer. You can't sing. You're a bad singer. You can't sing. You can't hit a note. You can't find melody. You don't understand rhythm. You can't sing, you can't sing. My entire life, everyone has told me. My entire life, everyone has told me. But ever since I was a kid, but ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be a dancer. I wanted to be an actor in a musical. Whatever I could be, an infinite fantasy, and I would be the star, and I would sing, but my feet, they were just in sand, and I was kicking it around like snow, dancing like it's the 1920s, 1920s, 1920s.
Let's see if I can explain this in a little more detail. So sometimes I hold back from revealing certain truths about the story because I don't think they'll be received in the right way. But in this moment, as I said before, this is Bystander trapped in the 11th floor ward. He, through his imagination and machines fueled by the imagination, was able to break the barrier between other times and other spaces, connecting with other people that weren't Bystander in other times and places throughout the 20s. One of these is Josiah Rose, who ends up being in a psychiatric ward before the end of their life. Most of their poetry is forgotten until many centuries later, in the prelude of the apocalypse, which began in, they believe, Halloween, October 31st, where he wore the mask of the devil and handed out a note from the devil, said to put this on your refrigerator, to protect you in the apocalypse, which people thought was just a silly gesture at the time. We then realized, so like, that's a separate person. Yet Bystander and Josiah Rose, both reaching into a similar depth of the imagination, were able to interact and communicate with each other. Sometimes that's in the form of possession. Easily expressed through a typewriter, less often through the actual manifestation of their imaginations becoming one to the point where they are like, their imaginations are meshing, their identities are meshing, and they are blurring into each other in that moment. So let's go back to that.
Oh, the rolling 20s. Oh, the rolling 20s. Oh, the rolling 20s. Oh, the rolling 20s. I met a man, his name was Bystander. I met a man, his name was Bystander. And Bystander was from a time unknown, unknown to you, unknown to me, unknown to everyone, even to him. For he awoke in a stairway with rainbow windows of stained glass and light and images he didn't understand. And when he went up, it went up forever, and when he went down, it went down forever. And every room was number 11. And every room was number 11. And this is where it gets silly and psychedelic.
Starting to piece this together, I've been providing as many details as I can about the story. But I'm just motherfucking Slapstick Machete, and I'm just one person that's a part of this whole facet of the imagination. And I'm trying to spread this, like, portal into another dimension, another time, because that's pretty fucking dope. And all of my friends are into some cool, dope shit. So right now, I'm gonna stall, and I'm gonna plug in some headphones and put on some beats of some kind. And get a little rhythm flowing and improvise a rap song about this science fiction. And so here we go. Let me just find the right, shit. I think I'm gonna put on Mad Villain in my ears. Mad Villainy, there's an instrumental version. I thought I had it saved, but let me go into Apple Music here. Yeah, Mad Villainy instrumentals. I'm gonna hit shuffle and I'm gonna improvise a rap. Okay, we've made it this far. This is Slapstick Machete, the modern imagination. I'm pacing, I'm wandering, I'm going in circles in the 11th floor ward. I was reaching out. I was doing Metaxu radio in the 24th century, and now I'm hitting it hot on a podcast in the 21st century. You know, that's pretty damn ridiculous. That I would say something like I got a time machine and I'm able to travel through all the 20s. I'm able to travel through all the 20s. This is gonna sound real silly without some beat underneath. Maybe I have a tape with some shake, tremble, and some rumble, 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 rumble. I've made a lot of tapes. They're piling up. They're not just mine. There's a collective of us that are connected to the same well, the same source of the holy imagination. Making elevator music, refrigerator art, a collective that's trying to save the cosmos. And you can be a part of it too. If you just listen, if you just lean in, if you just think to yourself, how fucking weird is it that this guy at the age of 29 was in his apartment making a tape and rapping without a beat with some Mad Villain in his ears, with some inspiration instrumental, just to get him going in the flow. He's been practicing, trying to express poetry in all different ways. Sometimes he yells, sometimes he finally hits the groove, he hits the rhythm, he finds the lines that were already there, drawn on the page, tip, tap, typing on the typewriter, flowing with energy from other creatures beyond himself. This is some bizarre bonkers shit. This is some bizarre bonkers shit. This is the part where I really remove
all hesitation and let it flow. And I look upon the city and I see people driving to and fro, putting on their blinkers, thinking about how the day has treated them, usually poorly. It's been a rough time, you know. We've been treating each other real shitty. We've been treating each other real shitty. We've been leaving each other high and dry. We've been alienating ourselves. We've been trying to figure it all out on our own. And sometimes you run out of cigarettes, and sometimes you run out of words to say, and you find another cigarette butt with not much left in it, and you smoke like a bum. Nothing against the bum. And you smoke like a bum. Nothing against the bum. I've got a little butt left on this filter. I'm gonna pull out my lighter and I'm gonna smoke it. And I'm gonna keep going with the beat that's inside my ears. I don't always know what I'm trying to say. I took the day off because I have a toothache and it hurts really bad. I took the day off because I have a toothache and it hurts really bad. And it hurts really bad. I'm probably gonna make a beat on my little drum machine that my friend left over here from Panthera 95. That's Wes S. Abels. They've been leaving their gear and teaching me little things about the music and the possibilities of experimentation. I tell you, it was with cassette tapes and shoe boxes and typewriters that I was able to travel and traverse between times and places far beyond. I've been driving around in my Honda, hanging out with my friends. I've been going to Chad's at the module, and I've been recording these tapes, digitizing. I got connections with Raptor Smoke Records. Have you heard of them? They're gonna be one of the hottest labels in the future. But you don't believe me? Just see for your fucking self, cause sweet Chad is hitting you with fresh shit every day. Are you ready? Are you ready for what's coming next on the tape? Do you want me to reveal some more secrets? Are you hooked? Are you listening? Because this is episode 6 and I've been working really hard and I got a full-time corporate job. I'm a strategist, you know, I'm a motherfucking strategist. I got business meetings, I got teams to work with, I got a department with priorities and timelines. I gotta work on a project for sometimes 8, 9, 10, 12 months. That's what I've been doing, and then I come home and I record a tape, and I connect with the imagination, and I start to communicate with the man in the gold frame, window to the cosmos and the cosmos beyond. Do you know that all these words have been made up on the spot because I removed hesitation and I entered into my time machine? Because the imagination is endless, and you can think of a lot of crazy things. The imagination is endless, and you can think of a lot of crazy things. The imagination is endless, and you got it too. Just take a whiff of some new shit. Take a big whiff of some new shit and chugga choo choo. New train passing by. Oh, you think it's just full of coal, but it's got a lot more than that. Coal, keep the fire alive. This all ends in a mega trance. I said, this all ends in a mega trance. No one knows what that means, but that's our last hope, the final rave. Orator, listen to every word they say. They are from the future. They're the final creatures of existence. They're standing at the edge, looking into the abyss, no reflection. That's Orator. You know them as a sacrilegious metal band. But the truth is, they're prophets from another time. And they're pretty damn mysterious, and you'll see them one day. As for now, you better listen to Sam and Chicken, because that's the #1 jazz fusion band in town. That's the healthiest post-music, post-sound, post-hesitation band. We're dropping some new shit. We're sharing the imagination with words made up on the spot. Musicians improvising. We're playing at the Villager, 426. I'm trying my best to communicate. I'm trying my best to push the limits of the imagination. I'm trying my best not to be too loud and scare off the neighbor. But I got trapped in the elevator. Give me some motherfucking symphony. What I was trying to say was sympathy, but maybe this song is called My Sympathy Symphony. Help me, help me. I've been so lonely. I've been wandering. I've been alone for the first time in my life. Before this, I was married. Before this, I was in a beautiful relationship, but I ain't never been by myself. I ain't never had to make decisions that only regard what I want to do. I've been given so much. I've been adapting and compromising, not being able to develop my own identity. I've been sheltered, so now I'm listening to Nirvana's first CD for the first time in 2020. I bought the CD, I put it in the car, I'm like, this guy fucking rules. Oh. Are you listening? Are you listening to the legends and the prophets, the people that you have remembered and loved, the music that sustains your weary-ass soul? Your memories of that, your recollection, your nostalgia, it means something. If you dive into the remote past and bring it to the present, you can unveil secrets of the times far beyond that will not be experienced by others in the future. Do it for the archeologist. Do it for the archeologist. I want them to really know what's going on inside my head. I don't want them to just see the masses making history books that don't connect with how I actually feel in my present state of mind. Oh, let's go way back. Let's go way back.
You may think that these sounds are just there for a nice dramatic effect in this wonderful form of storytelling that blurs ancient radio storytelling and oral tradition with psychedelia for the modern weirdos of the world. But honestly, I am using these sounds to pull you into a dimension beyond yourself. And if you really open up yourself, this will guide you into the cosmos beyond, baby.
This is one of my more experimental episodes. I hope you enjoy. You're listening to The Modern Imagination with Slapstick Machete. What the fuck is language? What the fuck is language? What are the limits of language? What the fuck are the limits of language? What's the imagination? What the fuck is the imagination? What are the limits of the imagination? What are the motherfucking limits of the imagination? There's a lot more at play than time can understand. There's a lot more at play than time can understand. There's a lot more at play than time can understand.
Right, I promised you a metal album, so here you go. Ba 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 ba. When he opened the door, there was a hallway. When he opened the door, there was a lot of other doors. Each door was number 1109. I'm talking 1109. Yeah, that's right. I'm talking same old room, same hallway, every room in the stairway that went on forever. Every room in the stairway that went on forever. I'm talking if you ascend, you will descend again. I said, if you ascend, you will descend again. And he opens the door, and there is a room in ruckus, in chaos, the grave of a man who was off his rocker. Who is this man? Who is this place? Who is this person? Who is this face? Who is this face? Who is this anguished salesman? What is this balcony? What is this view? What are these things crawling on the earth? What is the sky and the rainbow in the sky? What is the storm that's coming toward you?
Yeah, a lot of people aren't into that in the future. It's actually like, if you get stuck with the job of studying that tape, or like that's what your dissertation or thesis is about, or like sometimes just the way things add up, this has to come across your like path. I personally dig it, but Slapstick Machete, I'm a weird motherfucker in all times, and so if it's a little unbearable, fuck you.
His first artifacts, first things he ever felt. Things he ever felt. First things he ever felt. First things he ever felt. And
It's just like, what the fuck is going through this guy's head?
There's a lot more at play than time can understand. There's a lot more at play than time can understand.
You see, I like that long pause. I think it was intentional. I'm honestly just stalling because this pause is longer than I thought, and I just don't want to fuck up the progression of the recording.
Today, are you all cassette? I like the way I ended it. Listen closely. I like the way I ended it. Listen closely.
Honestly, I just can't take any more. Who the fuck keeps saying that this tape needs to be on the air? Because this is some bullshit. I hate this fucking tape.
Hey, Slapstick Machete is taking a smoke break. I'm gonna fill in. This is Bit of Cola. I am the worst person with accents, but I do it for the hell of it. This is Bit of Cola. I'm coming at you with one of my favorite tracks by a group called Sunday Morning Carnival Horses Flying By. An absurd name. They also play in a bar of an absurd name, the birthplace of Christ and other debaucherous places. Not immediately a sacrilegious thing if you consider it. In this time in the 24th century, things have changed, and people don't regard things in the same way they regarded them in the past. The neon sign in the bar describes it best. In the birthplace of Christ and other debaucherous places, it says, if nothing is holy, then nothing is unholy. And there's a lot of different theories about that. Some say that it's like although immediately on the surface seems like a slur against Christianity, is actually something that is progressing the theology further in the idea of incarnation and the creator of the universe being born of the womb, and all of the realness of that with blood and poo-poo and born into a stable. I mean, you know, that my religious upbringing definitely influences a lot of my thought, but there are some crazy philosophical rabbit holes in Christianity, you know? And so the birthplace of Christ and other debaucherous places, I can talk about it further if you want more details on the subject, but it's the name of a fucking bar in the 24th century. Forget the name, it's one of the last rock and roll bars. It could be considered the last rock and roll bar, and they have a radio station that airs out of there, and that's Metaxu Radio, and I'm just one of the buddies of Slapstick Machete, and sometimes he lets me take over when he gets angry. So I want to play The Intimacy With Now by one of my favorite local groups, Sunday Morning Carnival Horses Flying By. This is a very mysterious group with some mysterious music. This is Bit of Cola.
Alright, this is Slapstick Machete. Bitter Cola has his own radio station, and he needs to fucking get off of my motherfucking tape.
Ow!
Oh, you can't stop me. I fucking punch like Bruce Lee. That's right. I'm dropping new rhymes, new fire. I'm climbing the top of the mountain. This is Bitter Cola. And I'm a motherfucking cartoon character. Some say that I might even be Sunday morning carnival horses flying by. But I'm not going to reveal the truth out of that. And I just gave a nice little punch to Slapstick Machete. And he is a weak-ass motherfucker without his machete, which I hid somewhere in the bar, which he's going to have to find before he can defend himself and get this tape back. So I'm taking over. I'm playing the intimacy with now, because all moments are contained in this moment. Would you agree, Slapstick? Damn, man, why do you fucking punch me in the stomach, man? I'm just fucking around. It's just an episode. You don't have to fucking... Dude! This is Bitter Cola.
If you think I'm telling you a fib, well then why don't you think for yourself and decide what you want to say in response? All profits are for product. What would you like to say back to that? No, they're not. Like, there's profits from other places. Okay, well, let me know about the profits you know. What's a profit you know currently, and where do they live? We don't know many prophets,
Every right to be fucking on the air. I don't care. I don't... Just because I'm a part of the modern imagination just as much as you, and my accents may be shitty and fucking annoying, and everyone thinks I'm like, I shouldn't be included in the crew, and I'm like the fucking outcast of the outcast. But my name is Bitter Cola. R.I.P. Everything gets in my way. I'm gonna destroy all you motherfuckers. This bar is mine. Every one of these bands, they answer to me. I am fucking I am the reason that bands like Salmon Chicken and Orator have been able to travel through time and space. I don't give no fuck about no bystander. I've had enough of your endless bullshit. Let's just play some rock and roll. And you're talking about the fucking end times, man. I'm just
out of reach. She plays with me. Toys with a man's emotions. Like keys on her piano. All I can do is surrender over to her will.
This is Metaxu Radio. We're having some technical difficulties in the bar. They seem to be smashing shit like an old 80s movie. Specifically Roadhouse. It looks like motherfucking Roadhouse in here, except no one is as good looking as Patrick Swayze, and this is an imaginary bar in the future with a radio station that is on a Slapstick Machete episode. So, technical difficulties my ass. Just enjoy the show.
Open your chest. Open your chest. Open your chest. Pry open your rib cage. Tear out your sternum. Open your chest. These are absurd words that are hard to digest, but this is Bystander, and I am presently taking over this episode and trying to communicate to you. I am trapped in the 11th floor ward. I'm trying to set myself free. This is selfish. This isn't what I expected it to be. I didn't know my words would have such an effect on the cosmos. You must pay attention. You must open your chest, for the abyss incarnate, the happy hollow man, the scream face is coming for you. This sounds absurd. You are a writer of the Book of the Mystics. You are a writer of the Book of the Mystics. A sacred text written beyond time and space. You may not have written it yet, but you will. You are a prophet of the end times. Dive inward, dive into your imagination. I manifest, I let possession of the man in the gold frame overtake me, and he speaks through me, a vessel of a hypercosmic traveler. The story as it unfolds, Francis J. Harding's and the parables that the prelude, the parables in Odyssey, a salesman, a priest, and an actor. The unholy trinity. Do you believe me? What stories began and what stories may never end, and what may come crashing to a halt in the year 3020, when the imagination dwindles into nothing, when we become detached from the land, when we forsake all the gifts that have been given to us, when we forsake all the gifts that have been given to us. And I can't speak much longer. I don't have much left in me. I've given everything. I'm losing my mind. No creature can handle this absurdity.
That was truly a moment of this wasn't previously recorded on the tape. I never recorded this. As I'm listening back to this, I stumbled upon this, and everything after this tape, this part was blank. I previously had shit on there, but he fucking Bystander just fucking came in and like dropped some heavy shit, man. We're gonna have to reflect on that for episode 7, but whoa. This is actually Josiah Rose. Slapstick, Machete, and Bitter Cola are like fucking brawling, like old school fucking cartoons, and like fucking things are like the clouds and there's fists swinging around, and like it's fucking crazy. But here I am. I'm taking over. You might understand a little bit more about this story and the way that we all interact and communicate. There is a portal we have ripped open, and specifically we've been communicating through tapes and typewriting shit, and I can't attribute everything I've shared in my present time as something that is entirely me. I am working with a collective, and we've started something called Salmon Chicken Experimental Art Group, also known as Skeeg. And like we just released an art and poetry magazine, and all the contributors and high priests of that, we're dropping some knowledge. I'm gonna print some more, I'm gonna get some more ink, and I'm gonna get that out there in the world. Artifacts, 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 that's what we're all about. This is Josiah Rose, and I'm just being a silly little billy goat. Ah! Is that a billy goat sound? This is Slapstick Machete. It's been a long tape, 110 minutes. If you made it this far, you deserve some hidden gems. Are you prepared for what may unfold in the last few rotations of tape? The spinning magnetics. Are you all cassette? Philosopher, philosopher, come down from your tree, for the kids have stopped playing. The kids have stopped playing. Oh, ancient poets and ancient voices of creatures who have passed away into the mysterious parts of existence that are beyond our reach. That's what I'm hitting right now, a book. Ancient Egyptian literature!
Do you understand the words that I'm writing on your face with red permanent marker? Chisel tip. Engraving your skull with holy inscriptions, setting you free from the limiting facilities of a bar previously constructed, weakened Western boxes. Boxes within boxes, 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 boxes, within boxes, within boxes, within boxes, climbing, climbing, climbing into the sky. I'm going to pound my fist upon the metal vault of heaven. Let me in! This is mine too. Let me in! This is mine too. You can't have paradise to yourself, you bastard. You can't have paradise to yourself, you bastard. We're storming the gates of heaven. We're storming the gates of heaven. One man show. One man imagination. By man I mean human. By human I mean you and me. What I mean to say is everyone, and we need to storm the gates of heaven because we are the gods.
This can be construed in a lot of different ways, but I would like to say to those of you that have decided to express their connection with things that are mysterious and the magic of the world through the religion Christianity, that this is not a direct attack on that. This is contextually an analogy of someone trying to break beyond the walls and limitations that other creatures have placed, that they have put God in a box, heaven in a box. They have built a framework of guardrails that limits the imagination. And they have said things like there is nothing new under the sun. And so that's what Bystander, locked in the bathroom in the 11th floor ward, is trying to express. This breaking through and beyond the limitations that have been previously placed there, and saying and proclaiming that there is something new under the sun. And he's breaking past the vault of heaven and reclaiming paradise in that analogy. Some believe that to be, that's my damn microwave. I heated up some coffee right before I go over to Sweet Chad's. And Sweet Chad, he's a producer of Raptor Smoke Records. And I'm just throwing on some clothes. This was a sick day. I have a toothache, and I'm trying to distract myself and make this really bizarre 110-minute tape. And if you've made it this far, then, man, you are into some weird shit, because I have been going off my rocker, off the rail, and who knows what is coming next. Do-do-do-do. Ba-da-da-da. I'm going to play a little bit more of that, like, Bystander track, and then I'm going to surprise you with some shits.
Salmon Chicken Experimental Art Group. We're all a part of it. It's for everyone. A new absurdity. A new place to run. What if I told you I found some new woods, and a new tree house, and a new mountain, and a new cave? Would you come with me, and would you explore? Would you follow me, and I'd follow you, and we'd go, 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 go. Storm the gates of heaven! Storm the gates of heaven! Storm the gates of heaven!
of heaven. Smash it, smash it, smash it, smash it, smash it. This is experimental music. I've got crumbs on my lips. This is experimental music. I'm smashing up my book with a blue hand made of glass. What is this absurdity? Am I making it up? Is it imagined? Or is it actually happening? Do you need me to prove it? Do you want to be here? Do you want to see this for yourself?
Whilst chasing itself, water